Take After Take, a digital show. We're recording this on a Thursday afternoon. High school football going to get underway in North Alabama across our area tonight as we record this. And, of course, our first Football Friday night. We love our communities across the valley. We tend to have our Friday Night Fever show. Friday Night Fever. That was years ago. Friday Night Blitz show. Available to you on Friday nights. It'll be available if you have some kinfolks, some nieces or some nephews, they're cheerleaders and or football players in the band. You'll see all of the sights and sounds for our Friday Night Blitz show. We are excited to have that back for yet another year. You can find that and highlights of all of the happenings across the valley on our 48 Sports Zone app. You can find us on WAFF.com, and then you can also find us on our WAFF YouTube page, and you can also find us on our 48 Plus app. And that Plus app is available on TV streaming devices. That's Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. So excited for that. But let's get right into it as we record this. Patrick Akers, we'll be together we have a tailgate show as well. We'll be able to see him in the coming weeks, but that man is busy. If I'm busy, he's busy 30-fold. But we hope to hear and see Pat in the coming weeks as we kind of get into the college football season. But I want to just kind of get into the happenings, what you need to know or what you need to hear from respective head coaches from Alabama and Auburn. I know the college football season just right around the corner. Everyone moving into those second scrimmages of camp, finalizing depth charts, figuring out where pieces should go. And we want to start with Alabama. Had an opportunity as Kalen DeBoer and company had their second scrimmage today. We had an opportunity to hear from defensive coordinator Ken Womack as he discussed kind of his mindset of trying to finalize that two deep on defense and kind of having an idea of who will be on that two deep as they prepare for their home opener, season opener rather, against East Carolina inside Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So here's Coach Womack as he discussed the week and a half between scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2 and kind of just where his mindset is along with his defensive staff as they prepare to kind of set that depth chart heading into game prep against East Carolina.
Xavier Griffin, Zay's doing a really good job. He's it's hard to play the linebacker position, and we're asking him to do multiple things in that room. He has value as a pass rusher. He did that for most of his high school career. And then what was really cool is his senior year, he got to play, as a stack backer and took his game to another level. And so Chuck Morrell's done a fantastic job with him. I came in here, whatever it was, 6 a.m. this morning, and they're meeting, one-on-one, spending time. So we're working to get him ready. I think he's going to have a role for us this year. He's doing a really nice job. You said like a weight, ideal weight. I think he's like maybe 223, 224 right now. We'd love for him to be north of 225. And if he's at north of 225, we feel pretty good about that.
How would you assess the inside linebacker competition right now?
I think those guys are doing a really good job. I think I've told you guys this before, Chuck Morrell does a fantastic job of just the relentless detail that it takes to play that position. Spends time with those guys year-round, meets with them year-round, and gets guys ready to go, whether it's a freshman or a transfer portal guy. And so, we've got both are good examples. You got Xavier Griffin, right, coming in. You've got Caleb Woodson, right, and both those guys have done a really good job to put themselves in position to play. I'm impressed with that group. I mean, I think Luke Metz has taken his game to another level. I think you see a lot from Abdul Sanders and QB Reese, and Caden Jones is doing some nice things, Duke Johnson. So those guys are all going to have a role for us. It's just kind of at some point, right, you got to say, okay, here's the two deep. And let those guys ride and see what happens in games. But it's a little bit easier now when you're playing with a D-line up front that holds their gap responsibility, does their job at a much higher level. You see those guys starting to play with more confidence.
There's a lot of rotation at that position.
We always rotate a little bit. I would love to have. I think once you get going, right, you kind of have four main guys that you see mainly in the rotation, and then some auxiliary positions that you may see from a couple of guys as well mixed in there. But Typically, we've always had 3 or 4 main backers that to begin the season are going to take the majority of the snaps.
What do you think? What can you tell us about Steve Bolabumwa
What?
on the defensive line, like his progress?
Steve?
Bolabumwa?
Yeah. I think, Steve has a pretty unique skill set. His strength, athleticism, the physicality that he can play the game with, he brings a lot to the table, especially, when you think about big personnel packages. Asking an offensive lineman to go one-on-one with him that's a hard ask, and so I think he's doing a nice job of being able to play the fundamentals of the position. I think he's got to continue to take steps in the right direction of just knowing what to do consistently, and that ultimately will define how many snaps he takes and in what situations.
Do you have a rotation plan for the interior of the defensive line? Do you want 2 starters? And what does that look like in terms of the amount of pieces?
We've always rotated guys in the defensive line. You want to keep guys fresh, as the game's going on, and so you gotta be mindful of rotating them early. I think we have some guys right now that we feel confident that can go in the rotation. You love to have what you would call multiple starter level players, right? That you feel like when the 1s and the 2s go in, there's not much of a drop off. In the past, certainly that's been the case, but we definitely have taken a step in the right direction there.
What have you seen from Jaira over these 2 weeks, and what do you see the next few weeks?
Jaira is he's one of the most instinctive playmakers I've ever seen coming out of high school. Very physical. He's got phenomenal tracking of the ball. His blitz IQ and awareness is really high, and so he can create production, out of that package as well. But really for him, it's about putting the whole thing together. Jaira's going to play for us, but how much does he play for us early in the season, and in what situations, right? Those are the question marks that we've really kind of challenged him of, like, can you put everything together that we can throw you out there on any given down? And he's still working towards that.
You mentioned wanting 3 to 4 guys in the inside linebacker spot. How close do you think you are to nailing down kind of 3 to 4 that you want in that rotation?
I'd say we're pretty close. Yeah. We're in a pretty good spot there in terms of knowing what we're going to get out of guys. We've got a scrimmage here on Thursday, and then we start kind of turning our attention right to getting into some teamwork, but some more personnel groupings that we've got to get ready for against our offense. And then you start moving into scout work and all that. And so I told the guys, this is a really big week. Decisions are going to be made in my mind about who takes the field against East Carolina based off of what you do this week. And I tell the guys, I'm a human stock market, right? You know what I mean? Like, stock is up, stock is down, but there's a line that I'm going to draw of guys that we trust to go do their job at a high level, that I feel like we can go put in the first game pretty much regardless of the situation or time on the clock or score or any of that kind of stuff. And so we'll ride with those guys. Doesn't mean that can't change as the season goes on. Doesn't mean that we can't add pieces to the puzzle as the season goes on, which we most certainly are going to have to do. But coming out of this Thursday, I have a pretty good idea of who we're going to be and who we're going to ride with.
Coach Ford talked after the scrimmage, giving credit to your D-line, and then Coach Grubb yesterday said he wasn't fully satisfied with the offensive line. How do you evaluate your D-line, especially through the lens of going against a group that's developing?
Yeah, I think Adrian Klum's doing a really nice job with that group. There's a physicality that they are playing with, and I think between them and the tight end room, the running backs and some of the young guys in that room as well are doing a good job of setting the tone. And so there's some things that they're bringing to the table that present challenges for us. So it's really good to be able to see some of those things. Our offense has a lot that they can do and a lot of things that they go to. And so we're challenged in a number of ways schematically as well. So, I feel like we're seeing good looks and we're seeing some things that put us in tough situations that we got to go find a way to execute and win. But I think, from our defensive line standpoint, we do have a little bit more experience in that room right now. And I think we've got some maturity in that room that tends to be showing up. The ability to line up and play some base defense has not really been something that I've had in my tool bag, you know what I mean, for the last couple of years, right, on a consistent basis, right? We've kind of had to move and stem and all that stuff, and I've talked to you guys about that already before. I do think, you know, we're in a better position right now to line up and play base technique along with a number of other things that we're going to do. So, you know, one thing that I thought was really impressive, and the thing that I was most excited about from the scrimmage was just the energy from our sideline. We had almost a little bit of a rotation when you came off the field. If you had played multiple snaps, go to the coolers for a minute, sit down, try to lower your body temperature. Everybody else, right, you're on the juice squad. So I thought our guys did a really good job of bringing energy early. They kept it throughout the scrimmage and even in the finish. And that was something that I think I mentioned to you guys maybe last Tuesday. We had that period at the end of practice where we didn't really do a good job of responding to adversity in a goal line period. And then we came back out and didn't address it well enough on the field. And that felt eerily similar to some experiences that we had in the past, right? And so we made sure, right, like, hey guys, don't worry about install, don't worry about the next walkthrough, whatever. Let's make sure we address this. And those guys did a phenomenal job of taking it and running with it. And then they've been the exact same way every day we've come out to practice. So the energy, the passion that they're creating for themselves right now always is the marking and a making of a good defense. And to me, that's as good as it's been.
You got any buy low candidates on your defense?
I'm sorry?
You got any buy low stock candidates on your defense?
Oh, I said I use the stock market term very loosely. All right, I'm a football coach, so I don't know what buy low means.
Low, you get them for low value, they explode up.
Oh, there you go. Great. All right, you learn something new every day. Okay. I think yes. I think we've got some guys that are doing a really good job. I mean, you know, nowadays, right? There's a certain level of value, right, that you have to play this game with, that you have to build a roster with, right? You got to play a little bit. I love the movie Moneyball. It's one of my favorite movies, and you know, you got to play a little bit of Moneyball, right? And so you got to create value and depth with some really good pieces of the puzzle. And I think that always comes down to development, and that's the one thing that, you know, I think we do an elite job here. From our athletic director all the way down, we provide great resources. We provide great opportunities to develop. And so I think we're doing, you know, a nice job there. Thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
All right, that was Kane Womack. Listen, I don't think they have anything to worry about on the back end. I think they're as good as anyone, if not the best in all of the country. Secondary, those guys can flat out go get it. The key for me, just to see if they will be able to not only have takeaways, but turn those takeaways, INTs, fumbles to fumble returns and pick sixes and scores, game-changing plays on that side. But they got a lot of really good talent. Red Morgan, Xavier Brown, and Hubbard. And, I mean, they're loaded. It's interesting to see where that linebacker situation feels out there. Yanze Priere there as a speed rusher, but the depth there, defensive line. So interesting to see how that all kind of comes together and kind of finalizing that 2 deep as we head into next week. As for the Auburn Tigers, 100+ play scrimmage, a second one of fall camp for Alex Golish and company. Not as pleased as he would have hoped for after the first scrimmage. Wanted a little bit more physicality and attention to detail regarding his team and game-like situational awareness for Coach Golish and his staff. As we headed into and finalizing the second scrimmage from earlier this week, Coach Golish discussed things that he was pleased with, including some individual standouts and still understanding there is work to be done, trying to identify said problems and trying to move toward finding some sort of solution as they get ready for that big matchup in Atlanta, Georgia, inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Baylor. So here's Coach Golish as he discussed scrimmage number 2, and they move toward that game prep as well against the Baylor Bears.
Scrimmage 2, we went right around 100 plays total, so a little bit less than the last one. We've got an off day tomorrow going into 2 more days of camp. And then Saturday will be a big day for us. We've got parents cookout, which which will be a cool deal for our guys to see their families for the first time in a while. And we've got an alumni cookout going on at the same time. So we got about 200 former players coming back. Jairus has done a great job with getting those guys back, and I'm excited to see them. We've got some situational stuff to work through on Friday, and then really a big conglomerate practice on Saturday. That'll be a ton of situations, essentially to get us ready to go into a mock game week. Then we'll go into a mock game week next week, essentially go through a normal game week for these guys, which will be the first time that they do that, and then that'll lead into a normal game week leading up to Baylor. So we got 2 more days of working on us before we turn the page. Today, some really, really good stuff came out of today on both sides. Tackled so much better. Man, I was really proud of the way we tackled. There was some violent intent defensively. Some really good situations came up. Worked a lot of substitutional stuff. Worked, even just something as simple as taking the field after a kickoff today, which there was some teaching there. Offensively, some explosives. Some long drives, which was good for both sides to work. Especially in the heat, the way it was. I think until you get into, and I'm talking offensive football here, until you get into it with truly coaches off the field and long drives, and what does that really feel like to go 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 plays in a drive at the tempo that we play. There's nothing like actually doing it. You could try to replicate it all you want, but there's nothing like doing it, and I thought there was some really, really positive there. I left really impressed with some individual performances today with Dallas Walker, who has maybe been as consistent as anybody defensively for us. Man, what a blessing that he got the year back, and he's become a leader. He doesn't say a whole lot, but become a leader. I'm beyond proud of him. Deshaun Womack today I thought was really impressive. Jared Smith today was really impressive. Eric Winters today was really, really impressive. We got Caleb Harris back this week, which was huge. We got New Boy back this week, which was huge. Both those guys played well. I thought we played well at corner today, and did some really good things. Offensively, I thought Byram was super steady. Keyshawn Singleton continued to be super steady. Chaz Nimrod today was really, really solid. Protected well for the most part. So I thought there was some positive. Where we're not very good right now, really on both sides, is truly recognizing situational football and the guys taking control of it. And what I mean by that is just simply understanding where it is rather than just playing the next play, but where are we? What's the situation? What are we trying to do? And that takes time. That takes the play callers being on the same page with the guys. And that's why I say we still need 2 more days of us working on us to get closer to that. I think the biggest thing, and I said this to the staff last night, the biggest thing I'm proud of is how much this team has come together. And some of it was forced early, but these guys genuinely care and respect each other. They care about each other. And I've tried to create as crazy of adverse situations for them to have to fight through, and they just keep coming together. I'm incredibly proud of them. What I'm not super happy with right now is just purely the situational football execution and even the recognition of it. And a lot of that comes with being a young football team, and we are super, super young at some key spots. And so that's, again, the emphasis the next 2 days. I do believe the intent is getting close to right. I do believe the physicality is getting close to right. And we will see where we are here in a couple weeks. But health-wise, we held a couple of guys out today. We got, I think Taylor told me, the J.J. Falk that got out. I can't fathom how something would get out here, but he had surgery today. The hope is that towards the end of the season, end of November, December, we would have him. So as of right now, would be out for the regular season, which stinks. But feel for him, and he's worked hard to put himself in a position to play. Other than that, in terms of anything serious, there isn't. We'll be, other than what we've already announced, we'll be at full strength come Friday. So we'll be in a really, really good spot. Everybody that was 100% scrimmage today. We moved some 2s up to some 1s at the end of the scrimmage just to get some reps. Tristan took 1 reps today. Locke and Reese took 2 reps offensively, which was good with the 1 and 2 O-lines. Other than that, I'll open it up to questions.
Go Nathan, Ferg, Brett, Bill, Peter,
Didn't even say Brian because he won't introduce himself.
I'll wait till later.
Alex, Nathan King, Auburn 247. We saw Bryce Kane working with the DBs at practice yesterday. Is that a move that you expect to be permanent for him? And I guess just kind of what went into that decision?
Yeah, Bryce has got a really, really good skill set, starting with the fact that he can run and really, really fast. So he's done a really good job as a returner for us. He's kind of in a deeper slot room where we're not super deep at corner, and we wanted to try and see it here this last week at camp. Give Bryce a ton of credit. He's like, yes, sir, and has done a really good job. He's still learning. He's still figuring it out, but he can run. He's a physical kid. So we're going to give him a couple days there and then ultimately find he's going to play for us. We're excited about him. He's made a ton of strides, but if we're healthy at receiver, then we felt like that was the fastest way for him to get on the field. And that doesn't mean he can't come back. Right now, what we've told him is he's got a chance to play both, and we're going to continue to bring him along. Unselfish, though, man. Like, really, really unselfish young man.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. Alex, you mentioned Keyshawn having a good day at scrimmage. We heard about him having a good day the last scrimmage. You challenged him earlier this offseason to kind of be more consistent, be more mature. How have you seen him kind of step up in that way, and just how is he performing heading into the season?
Yeah, Justin. Keyshawn, I've known Keyshawn for so long. He's grown up so much. And for him, when his off the field process is right, he could be as special as there is in the country, and he has. It's been just being fully committed to the process, and it's not like there's nothing malicious. It's just it's always come so natural to him, and so learning what it is every single day, how you take care of your body, how you study film, how much sleep you get. All of that, like just everything that goes into being an elite football player, and it's all come together for him this summer. And so proud of him. The challenge for him, as I tell him literally every morning, is can you do it every single day? And he is playing at a high level. He's playing really confident. This entire team believes in him. So I'm really proud of him. But that's a day-to-day deal that he's got to continue to go. And like I said, there's never been anything malicious. He's an incredible teammate and loves football. It's just everything else that goes into it, he's learning and growing. And, it's all come together for him. He's a young man that being in the hotel for a couple of weeks where there's nothing else going on, I make the joke about the dog and the cat. Like, my guy got a dog and a cat. Like, he walking at 3 a.m, like chill with the dog, chill with the cat, and just play football. And so there was no dogs or cats. Here you go. Keyshawn's playing at a high level. So we'll see. Well, I might take the dog. I'm allergic to cats, but I may take the dog. Cats are self-sufficient.
Brett Pritchard, Auburn Blitz coach. Outside of X and Elijah, who stood out in that linebacker room? How have they performed so far in fall?
Yeah, Brett, I would tell you Bryce Dees. And Bryce, sometimes think we've done him a disservice a little bit just because he's playing literally all 3 spots, and he's so intelligent that he's handled it well. As we finish up camp here, he's going to kind of settle in. But he is a young guy that, man, you talk about played some as a freshman, took a step this spring. He's gotten his body right, super intelligent, physical. His best days are, when I say ahead of him here, hopefully in 18 days. He's had a really, really, really good camp, and we feel really good with him. DeMarcus Riddick continues to get back. He's taken a ton of reps. He's another one that we've played at every spot, and Dirk, for him to have position flexibility is really, really big. And so DeMarcus is coming. Like every day you see him more and more comfortable. When you miss as much time as he has, it's just a matter of getting back in it. He's such a phenomenal athlete and also highly intelligent. I've been really, really happy with those guys. You know, Matthews Canty has he had a really good spring, had just an okay first 2 blocks at camp, and this week has been really, really good. It's taken some reps with the 2s, it's taken some reps with the 1s. You know, and here's a young man that was an FCS transfer that honestly we took for depth, and he's shown he can play, and he's had his best week, which is what you want as you go. So really, really happy with him. Those 2 freshmen are coming along. You know, Tootle, I think, gives us a chance on special teams a little bit. Goon is still coming along and learning. It's happening fast for him, but he'll be a really good player here as well. But that's kind of where we are.
Bill Cameron, ESPN 106.7. You mentioned corners playing well, and I know you're looking for a little depth. Who stood out, and how many do you feel like you trust right now?
Yeah, Bill. You know, Dre has been steady since the spring. The challenge to him has been to be more physical. Man, he's had a really, really good last 2 weeks. He's confident. He's playing fast. He can roll, and he's become more physical. And you know, that's such a confidence position that it's taken him a second. You come into this league and you're playing against really good receivers there, and he's been super, super steady. Been proud of his last 2 weeks. Rayshon Pleasant continues to just get better. You know, he's a young guy that played some last year, that has played a ton of college football, but it was just a matter of settling in, and I've been really, really proud of him here this last week as well. He's settled in. Gavin Jenkins has had a really good camp. Scrap Richardson's had a really good camp. You know, Shamar, our new, missed the first really week and a half of camp. He had an appendicitis 3 weeks out from camp, so just him getting back into it. He continues to learn what it is to play at this level. He's got a skill set that's really special. He's got to get life continued to get figured out. But he is slowly but surely figuring it out, and he's a really good football player. Like you said, we moved Bryce over there to give us some depth and flexibility. But man, you would love to have 5 ready to rock and roll. Blake Woodby has played a bunch for us at nickel, has played some corner. We've, you know, I talked about the linebackers, a little bit of disservice. I think we're trying to make sure that we've got guys that can play all 5 back there and big picture. So I think long term it'll help Blake that he's played everywhere. We've repped Champ there a bunch, and Champ is a guy that creates a ton of position flexibility for us. We rep New Boy there in the spring. He was out at the beginning of camp. He's been back this week. He'll continue to rep over there too. I'm giving you a bunch of names because I think we're still trying to figure out truly who are the best 5, and then ultimately who are the next 5 behind them. And we've got some options. It's just a matter of we need the next 2 days to rep some New Boy there, rep Champ a little bit more out there as well. But we're getting closer to having some depth there.
Peter, Tyler, Polk, Bird,
Peter Radicus, AL.com. You mentioned a handful of guys, you know, D linemen and edge rushers, and you were talking about individual performances. I guess what stood out about that group as a whole today?
You're talking about the edges, Peter, or the whole front?
The whole front.
I think today there were some unique situations. There was we had a coming out situation on the 1 that was really good to see with big personnel get heavy. We had a 4-minute drill that was really good to see. Situations where you got to bow up, you know, and it's been kind of similar in the sense of trying to figure out who our best 4 are and then who the next 4 are, because you know you're going to need a big rotation. Like I said, it's been a big challenge to guys like Malik and Jordan who are young that we need to grow up here really quickly. So we've pushed those. Guys like Cody Sigler have forced those guys to grow up. You know, Buddy Mathis has continued to get better and better. There's a handful of those guys. You know, like St. Ferrier has been super inconsistent. When he's good, he's really good. When it's not, it's not. So we're continuing to push those guys. I think there's depth. And I think the last thing you want to see out of really that whole crew, and this offense forces you now to, like, you figure out if you're about that life or not, because you got to go through, there's going to be situations where you can't sub, and you saw some of that today where guys have had to push through. And that's why I pointed out, like, a Womack who just, he's playing his best football right now. A Jared Smith, who the challenge has been, man, on play 8 and 9 of a drive, what do you look like? And I thought today he looked the part. And it's really that whole group. I keep trying to explain to them that it'll be easier in a game when you can catch your breath a little bit. But we've pushed them, and Montrell has done a really good job. Hutz has done a really good job of not lowering any sort of standard just because you're playing a tempo offense.
Coach Tyler Rayleigh, Auburn Undercover. Jared Smith talked to us yesterday about his urgency over the course of the offseason, how he's been trying to improve on that. Bouncing off your comments that you just said about Smith, how has he improved in that urgency factor, and what has he done to elevate his aggression over the course of this offseason? Yeah,
The word urgency would not have been synonymous with Jared about, 4 days ago. So I would say it's more of what we've done in terms of we just keep yelling at him. And today he was like, man, if I am more urgent, then they won't yell at me so much. And so we'll just keep yelling at him until he figures it out. But he's a young guy that's uber talented and is just learning. Man, he's young, which is the last excuse anybody would ever want to use. So it's just learning how to play hard all the time. And it has nothing to do with not wanting to. It has everything to do with having a sense of urgency in between plays, having a sense of urgency when a play is over to get back up and lined up. And it's just learning. It takes time. It's a physical deal, and he's grown in his physicality. He's grown as a complete defensive lineman more so than just a pass rusher. I spend every morning reminding him that he's a pass rusher. He said, "Nah, Coach, I play D-line." So he's getting there from a mindset standpoint, but he's a young guy you love to yell at.
Alex, Justin Hoganson, Auburn on 3. I'm curious, like a broader question. It's a new collection of talent here, but in terms of individually, you have a lot of guys that have played FBS snaps. I mean, a lot of snaps. I'm curious if that's shown up in on the field, off the field preparation. Like, I mean, are your expectations like where is that line? Or you feel like they're where they need to be despite being a new team? It's a bunch of guys who've played a bunch of football, and is that showing up so far?
In some ways, Justin, here's what's really, really hard in today's college football, and I'm not trying to get overly philosophical here. The whole game is we have talent, and the reason why teams win, certainly you can have a giant talent gap, but the reason why teams win is because they're focused. And that's focused certainly play to play, down, series to series, quarter to quarter, but focused throughout a week. And that's the hardest thing to do. As much as experience from a football side matters, the game of football is just 11 one-on-one matchups, and certainly scheme matters and things you do in terms of blocking, tackling, all of that matters. But the ability to focus in today's college football is the name of the game. Like, can you get a group of young men, 18 to 20, whatever, to worry about the team, their process, and everything that goes into preparing for a game? Us as adults can't stay focused sometimes without staring at our phones and scrolling Instagram and the things that don't matter. We're trying to get 18 to 23-year-olds to do it, and that to me is where the maturity of experience comes from, if that makes sense, where playing snaps, and I don't care if it's FBS, FCS, like playing college football snaps matters. Seeing different concepts come at you over and over again certainly matters, but it's the ability to lock in and stay focused. And that's the hardest thing, at least in my experience, when you add media, you add parents, you add agents, you add money. like all of it, right? Like and then you say, man, like block everything out and just worry about this. Like you guys can't do that. Like we as adults struggle to do. I can do that just because I can lock my door and nobody can bother me, you know. But like that's really, really hard to do, and it takes a level of maturity, it takes a level of grit, it takes a level of commitment, it takes a level of sacrifice, and ultimately you recruit your own problems. But that's like the hardest thing to figure out. And ultimately, does the young man love football more than he loves everything that football gives him? And that's the challenge. And so the experience, like I look at experience as, has he gone through the shit to get to the other side of it, to figure out what's actually important? And that's why I started this whole thing with, man, like we have come together as a team. I'm proud of how we have come together as a team. We've gone through some adverse situations, but we haven't gone into a game yet. And so there are guys that have played ball. It's so hard to see, to try to gauge how they respond when it's actually on the line, you know. And I've hammered home this fourth quarter thing, and I've hammered home starting out fast, but like I don't play. If I played, we'd suck, you know what I mean? And so like it's these guys understanding what it really looks like, and we're teaching it at a high clip. We got elite coaches that is all that they preach as their day-to-day process, and that's the maturity that right now I don't know that we actually are there yet. And that comes honestly in a lot of ways with leadership, and when it's demanded by their own teammates and where they're held accountable by their own teammates. And that's the part, if I stay up at night about anything besides like a 2-minute drill, like that's what I stay up at night about worrying is can we lead ourselves enough from within the locker room right now to go play a season the way we need to. And I don't know that we're there.
Go Brian, Nathan, Carter, we're done.
Alex, Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com. Just wanted to ask you about.
Brian,
there you go.
Progress.
Just want to
growth,
ask
maturity.
Yes, that's right. Well, it was a slow start to camp, but I'm getting go now. Right. So edge position with JJ out, how do you look at the depth there? Who would be 3, 4, and 5, sort of? And is Darian Smith getting any looks there?
Yeah. The one name I hadn't mentioned, and really it's on me, is C.K. Murray. Man, he missed the first week and a half of camp, and we've slowly brought him back in. He's been phenomenal here the last week, and we've eased him in, just simply trying to make sure he's 100%, and he is 100% now. I've been really, really excited about CK. He brings a maturity. He brings some veteranness there, and he's been steady, and he's competing to be one of the two. And these next 2 days are really, really big for him. You asked about Darian. Darian's played inside and outside for us, and he's packaged up. He's done a really good job from a pass rush standpoint. He's grown as a run stopper. So he's in the mix. He's learned, and we've really cross-trained a bunch of those guys. Cody Sigler is cross-trained, again, ultimately to try to get our best 4 out there. But, Nate Johnson he's a guy that has been super, super steady for us at the end spot. He's competing like crazy to play a bunch. So I feel like we've got 5 there that we can lean on heavy, with Cody and Darian giving you a bunch of flexibility in there.
Alex, Nathan King, Auburn 247. What's your evaluation of where Bryson is right now? I know you mentioned last scrimmage he got some reps with the ones. He's a guy y'all have really challenged. Where is that running back rotation out right now?
Yeah, we were really smart with Cobb today. I feel like he's at a point now where, not that he's arrived by any means, but he's taken a ton of reps, and he's grown. And I know you asked about Bryson, but just for context sake, he's become more physical. I've told Jeremiah every day, like, man, it's good that you're a speed back. We're looking for a big back, and he starts foaming at the mouth. So he's grown tremendously there, which today and Cobb took a handful of snaps today, but we really pushed Omar and Bryson with that first group today. I thought both did a really, really good job. Omar's had a really good camp. Bryson the last week has shown why he's been able to do what he's done for the last couple of years, and he's taken steps. For Bryson, it's I talked about the long drives today. Like, he needed that worse than anybody, and it was good for him to push through that. He's taken big steps. I'm not going to tell you I'm proud of him yet. I'm going to keep ripping his ass, but he's come a long way. Hopefully, no, I was just going to say, hopefully that answers your question. Nakai has missed the last 4 days with a little soft tissue deal. He'll be back on Friday. He could have gone today. We kind of held him out, but looking to see if he can get into that rotation before he got banged up a little bit. He was in the conversation there as well. We've repped Alvin Henderson a bunch today with the twos. Christian Burnett, you're looking for a name, somebody looking to do a story. He's had a really, really good camp for us. He'll play on special teams for us, and he's earned time in the backfield as well.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. You were talking about last week with the offensive line, how you wanted to get closer to maybe finding that 5 or 6, 7, or 8. Just how much closer do you feel like that after today and the second scrimmage?
Yeah, we're closer. We've challenged that group in so many ways. We're closer. I know we've talked about Jacob Strand has continued to fight to get himself into that 5. He has shown some position flexibility there where I think he's going to find his way in there. Just the toughness and the intelligence. He's stood out really this entire camp. So I've been proud of him. We're continuing to push Plaz in that inside rotation. McManus, we're continuing to push in that inside rotation. We've moved Cale Ellis around a little bit to try to get him to push in that rotation, and Jacoby Ward in there to push in that rotation. The tackle piece, Stanton scrimmaged the whole scrimmage today again, which was really, really good to see. Joe scrimmaged the whole scrimmage at tackle today, which was good to see. Wilson Zier has taken some steps. Pritchard's taken some steps. But we're still, I think, leaving today. It'll be good to see the film, but trying to figure out who the 3 and the 4 are at tackle, and then what is that real interior look like. I think we're closer. I think we're closer to having 8 that we feel good about. But we need the next couple of days as well to truly solidify it here going into next week.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. War Eagle.
Coach Goldich in the house there as they prepare for that big matchup. Listen, there's some bright spots across the board. You just kind of want to see kind of where all of this lands. We don't know. Let's not act like we do. We just want to see a product on the field, how it functions the first couple of weeks of the year, and then we can kind of go from there. I think that anyone, including Auburn fans, will understand that the offensive line may be a work in progress. How that comes together with a formidable 5 that can gel and have some sort of chemistry and synergy amongst that front will be paramount to continue to help Byron Brown, the receiving core, in the backfield as well. So excited to see where this group goes. I know there's a lot of excitement and optimism for Auburn fans, just as far as I've continued to say throughout the year. Functionality, just functionality. Listen, everything has been said properly for Coach Goldich. You like the way that he's been honest. And let's just see what this now looks like as a product in an Auburn outfit as they head into the first season. We're going to leave you with the AP Top 25, and I just want to just briefly mention what this looks like. Let's just run through the top 10 really quick. I'm just looking at this on my phone. You'll see it if you're watching the video version of this on our YouTube page or our 48 Sports Zone app. Ohio State comes in at number 1, followed by Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Indiana, your top 6. Miami, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma in your top 10. I don't have a problem with anyone inside the top 10. I believe that maybe 8 or 9 of the top 10 teams, and this is the gift and the curse with talking about air, games and teams on air. All we can go by is teams, in our opinions, that have the least amount of question marks. And there are a few teams that seem like they have way less questions heading into this season than others. Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Now, obviously, there are some things there that we look at from some of these teams, most notably offensive line injuries. Trevor Goolsby has a bone bruise. He's out indefinitely, may not be lost for the season, which is fantastic news for that young man. Outstanding player on the offensive line. Georgia's has some offensive line issues as well. So those things are key. But I mentioned it kind of like the coaches poll when we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. I think this is the best team Notre Dame has had as far as guys that have had numerous reps at the FBS high level in their careers. Returning quarterback, rotation on offensive line, defensive line, linebackers. Outside of Alabama, best secondary in all of college football as a collective unit. So I just love the Irish. Yes, I am a rooter of all things team in South Bend, but we got to call a spade a spade. They're just one of the best teams, and a lot of it helps with schedule. A lot helps with talent. We've seen this outfit under Marcus Freeman win big games, albeit 2 years ago, and making a run toward the national championship game and losing to a historic Ohio State team. The Georgia Bulldogs, I think, are well equipped to do damage within the Southeastern Conference in the season. I think this is the best defense they've had since 21. And that we know what that group was mutant-like as far as the dogs they had literally and figuratively on that side of the football. Gunnar Stockton continues to not be named as one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football, much less the SEC. I think Kirby Smart and company are fine with no one discussing them. And I think that they are going to absolutely curb stomp a number of teams this year. Just my humble opinion. Don't know if that is the case. We shall see. I think the one team that I have question marks with, and it's not because of the talent that they have on the roster, it's just because we just have not seen it on the field yet, and that's Texas A&M. Mike Elko's amazing. One of the very best coaches in all of college football. Marcel Reed is a really good college football quarterback. We want to, as fans, and of course fans in Aggie land would love to continue to see him make the progression as becoming a more efficient at that position, along with him continuing to be dynamic at that position as well. Listen, they just lost so much. I loved Torian York from a year ago. I think he was one of the best linebackers in not only the Southeastern Conference, but college football. It's just, for me, we just want to see what that looks like with so much new. But that may be one of those plug and play deals. And I have to reserve judgment, even though they're in the top 10 at 8. I just need to see what that looks like from offensive line, the defensive line dogs they had, the linebackers, the wide receivers. So, you know, Casey Concepcion was as good as anyone in college football at wideout. How do you replace that? We'll see. I'm not saying that they can't win a national championship. If we're just going by rankings, I don't know. I don't know. I think Oklahoma, I would have moved Oklahoma and Ole Miss above Texas A&M. I think Oklahoma can be as good as they want to be, but I think everyone knows when you just look at their schedule, it's ridiculous. I think 4 of their first 5 games, they're legitimately playing 3 like realistic college football playoff teams and deep college football playoff berth type teams. The first 6 weeks of the year, it's brutal. It's just a horrendous, hellacious schedule. But I think if they can remotely stay healthy, we know what the defense is going to look like. We want to see what Coach Bedenbaugh and Coach B does on the offensive line as far as the chemistry there. John Mateer, does he stay within the confines of an offense and not play as much John Mateer ball as he may have a year ago? We shall see. What does the running game look like? I do not know. We know what they have a receiver with Satania Jr. He is as dynamic and electric as anyone in the country. And we know what the defensive line, linebackers, we know what that group does, the Bowen brothers on the back end as well. So for Brent Venables and company, who just received an extension, by the way, what does this look like from a schedule standpoint? Can you navigate that? You navigate this, they're going to win that. They can win the national championship, like point blank. That's why you're a preseason top 10 team in the first place. I think Indiana has a chance as well. Oregon, of course, with their defensive line, they have a quarterback. I mentioned it kind of like when we discussed the coaches poll a couple of weeks ago. You look at what do the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the 4, the 5 teams, top 5 teams, what do they all have in common? Solid offensive line play, quarterback, defensive line play. And that can take you very far. So I'm just interested to see how that shakes out. But I do believe, in my humble opinion, that we have a handful of teams that stand above everyone else. However, I do believe, and I know we say this every single year, that this may be the most competitive season of college football, most notably in the Southeastern Conference, that we've seen in quite some time. I like Alabama a ton. I think they're a 9+ win team. I think we will learn a ton about, even though it's early, I think we'll learn a ton about the mental makeup of this program when they travel to Lexington, Kentucky on September 12th, that first SEC game for the Tide and Will Stein and company and the outfit in Lexington. We don't know what Will Stein will bring to the table and how all of these talented pieces come together for that contest. We shall see. But I'm excited to see it on both fronts. What this looks like for Will Stein and kind of an idea of what this looks like potentially for this season and for years to come. And then what this looks like for Alabama. I think we've seen this movie before, a bunch of new program with a bunch of parts that we don't know the sum of them just yet. And I'm interested to see how this looks and what this looks like as we head into that game. So super excited about that. But overall, excited about the college football season. And you know you got to be getting excited about it because we've started to talk about all kinds of stuff. We have Eric Morris, the new head coach for Oklahoma State, shooting armadillos in his yard. That's when you know we've gotten to the point of we've had enough talking. Talking season, we close to getting over with this. We need to play football games. And we will get those next week with a handful of SEC teams playing non-conference contests and a handful of games next week before kind of the rest of the college football world gets underway on September 5th. So super excited about that. Super excited about everything that's going on with college football and so much to bring to the table. We will have you completely covered each and every week as Take After Take rolls on every week leading into this college football season and beyond. Like, subscribe on Apple iTunes or Spotify or where podcasts are available. Also, make sure you head to our WAFF YouTube page. That's where you can see the visual of this in this ugly mug each and every week, along with our 48 Sports Zone app. And then 48 Plus as well. You can find that on any TV streaming devices. That's Roku, Amazon Fire TV, or Apple TV. That is going to do it for this podcast edition of Take After Take. We're going to see if we can put an APB out for Patrick Akers and see if he'll join us next week as we head into week 0 of the college football season. Everyone, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy that final week of leisurely activities. I know everyone wants to watch some NFL preseason football, but, you know, I'll watch it because it's tackle football and I'll enjoy it. But, man, we got a little college ball start next Thursday. Super excited about that. So enjoy the weekend. Get by a pool. Soak it all in because college football is officially here. Take care, everyone.